Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome back to Zwift Fitness Journey. Today we're going to go over my equipment, break that down, see what's there. I'll do that in some separate voiceover type videos, but for me, what I'm doing today on the bike is I'm doing my first ever group ride. It's a beginner's group, hour-long ride, about 8 minutes into it, and there are already a few familiar faces in here, so we'll see what we have within the group itself. But for me, just put my head down and ride on because I've been doing half-hour rides. This is going to be my first hour-long ride, and first group I tried to join this morning actually. It was supposed to be a little bit easier ride, but also an hour, and it lasted all of 10 seconds. And then somehow got canceled, so I've shifted on over here to give it a go with my first ever group ride. And you see we have a large Peloton, actually typical of Peloton size. There's a good 180 riders here. But for me, I'm gonna hydrate and just see what an hour looks like. And I'll see you back at the end. We'll speed up parts of it, cut in and out for the different equipment reveal pieces as we go through and discuss that. But if I'm going to ride an hour, I'm going to need to be not too terribly winded. It means I need to focus on the ride itself. So I'm going to put my head down, get to that.
To begin the discussion on equipment for today, I want to take a look at what does it take to start up on Zwift for those who aren't already on there. For what I'm running, we'll get to that in a little bit, but let's begin with what do you need if you want to start on Zwift yourself? Well, there's 3 simple things to get started, but to do it right, you do need a lot of additional things beyond just that. The 3 things, well, you need a bike. Wheel on, wheel off will be dependent on the second piece, which is a trainer. Preferably a smart trainer, but that's a huge jump in price from a wheel-on trainer and is not necessary. You can get a wheel-on trainer and then have additional pieces of equipment to get it working on Zwift. A smart trainer with wheel off is already going to come with that stuff installed, but the difference in the extra equipment for a wheel-on trainer versus a wheel-off smart trainer, you're not covering that gulf in cost. Even though there's the additional things you need to buy for the wheel-on trainer. It doesn't even come close to covering that gulf. So it's still significantly cheaper to go with a wheel-on option than it is wheel-off. But the realism factor, how it feels when you're riding Zwift, the resistance, the appropriateness of the numbers that you're reading, that is so much better with the smart trainer. And then you need some sort of device to run Zwift on. Now, for some people, that's a laptop. For some people, that's going to be some type of tablet. For me, it's my PC because I'm recording at the same time, and linking those things together puts me right in front of my computer. Plenty of people use other things like a smart TV or Apple TV, and that works perfectly well for them as well. And going beyond just a basic setup, the few things that you may want to get into: heart rate monitors, speed, cadence sensors, and that's that difference between a wheel-on, wheel-off trainer. The smart trainer already comes with that pre-installed. Likewise, the power meter pre-installed and functioning and far more accurate. You can still get within a decent window on a wheel-on trainer. As for what I'm using on Zwift, I'm going to start with this disclaimer. Cycling was something I got into slowly. As a kid, and I've mentioned this in previous episodes, I was fairly poor, and so for me, I had your run-of-the-mill, cheap, $100 or less mountain bikes from Walmart or Target growing up. And I went through quite a few of those because they really just aren't built to last long. And as I got bigger growing up, obviously, I outgrew them anyway. But that was what I knew, and that was what I had. And I even still had one of those as a young adult. It was a piece of crap. It did not work well for me. And so 7 years ago, when I got back into the country after living abroad for a few years, I decided I wanted to ride. I wanted to get exercise in that form in addition to what I was doing as a soccer player. But I was on a budget. And so when I went into my local cycle shop, a road bike was a very expensive piece of equipment. In the US, prices can get bloated very, very quickly when you start improving quality. And so a road bike was something that I just could not afford at the time. And for roughly half the cost of what it took to get into a road bike, I was able to get a hybrid. And that's this. So I got a Trek FX Series 7.1. It's a bit like a poor man's gravel bike, but the reality in what it's marketed as is a hybrid, somewhere between a full-blown road bike, which pretty much start at $1,000 or more for a new piece of equipment, and can be very hard to find a good used one. Get a lot of lemons out there, and you still wind up spending $300, $400, $500, $600, $700 for something that may not work out for you, and may not fit your type. The frame might not fit you. So getting properly fitted and getting a proper bike, I knew that I needed to get something new, because I was limited in my knowledge, because I grew up with these cheap piece of crap bikes that just weren't good. So that cross between a road bike and a mountain bike, what it's meant for is, it can be ridden off-road to an extent. It's got wider tires than what you normally have on the road. That extra friction, though, does slow it down quite a bit. And gearing wise, it's geared a bit more for playing around with it off-road than it is on-road. And if I gave a full review on this bike, it wouldn't be the most positive of reviews. However, it was still a massive upgrade from anything that I had ever had previously, and functions for the most part like a decent road bike. Other than that, it's just got flat handlebars, and that was the difference. No drop bars, and I wanted to get drop bars, and for years I played around with the idea of getting drop bars to get a more road feel out of it, but I never did, and it worked for me, and it worked for a time. It worked for about 5 years. And then my wife very sneakily sold her bike, and my riding partner had said farewell to the road, and so then I very quickly after that picked up an indoor trainer. So over the last 2 years, I had transitioned to this indoor stationary bike. It's certainly not the most expensive on the market. I picked it up for just a shade under $400, I believe. It served its role. It's got its own flywheel on it, and it rides smooth, and you can manually adjust with a knob the resistance. For the first handful of months that I used it, I used that resistance knob, and I did varied training, and I actually even got into the high intensity training that's so common and more effective. As I've outlined in a previous episode, I'm the type of person who does not self-pace well, not effectively at all. I have a tendency to push too hard and cause myself serious pain. And in that pain, I end up essentially giving up. I need time to recover, and then the moment I go into that mode and go into that recovery mode, I break the habit. And without the habit, I drop it. That's my personality. That's my flaw. And that flaw has caused me issues again and again. So I stopped riding. I was riding every single day of the week. I was losing some weight. I was feeling good. It was nice. And then I stopped riding because I got hurt. It was months before I picked it up again. And to make matters worse, my initial setup was in my living room. My wife and I own a daycare that's downstairs. And so our living room is upstairs. It's a little cramped because it's not originally a living room. It's supposed to be a den. And at that time, my computer wasn't even in that room. It was in my actual office, but my office was above the daycare. It was too noisy. So I moved myself in. Well, anyway, I got an extra piece of furniture, had nowhere to put it, and so the bike moved. And at that time I was riding occasionally, but I moved it to the office. And prior to that, watching TV and riding at the same time in the evening worked. It was working for me. But the moment I moved it out of there, didn't have that extra piece, that extra element that I can just sit and relax and watch TV while riding. Took that element away, and it sat around for many, many months. For the last 6 to 8 months, I slowly started getting back into riding. Time of COVID. I had gone outside walking every other day with my wife, and we did that through the summer. But when the weather started to turn, I turned my attention to getting back on the bike. But it started slow. It was once a week or once every 2 weeks even. And I wasn't using the resistance. I was just casually riding. It was better than nothing. In time, and since the start of 2021, I really picked that up. I was consistently putting in 2 hours a week, but it was still hard to keep up with. I wasn't feeling anything out of it. I was just getting mild exercise and nothing more. And for a long time I was looking at Zwift going, this is what I need. But the equipment I have isn't going to work. And so I knew it was going to take a significant investment in order to start up Zwift. Well, I finally made that plunge, and that's where we end up with this. So what I have here is the Elite Sweeto trainer. It's a smart trainer, and it is retails at $850. So it is a very hefty investment. It comes with direct drive. It comes with a cassette installed. But with this trainer, what you get is a resistance modifier. So it connects directly with Zwift. And so I get that feedback. It feels the work that I'm doing, the gears that I'm shifting, and it reads that output. And it increases or decreases resistance as you go along accordingly, as if you're really out on the road. And that is such an amazing feature and such an immersive feature that the alternative trainers just can't do. The standard run-of-the-mill trainer, yeah, they can read what kind of output you're giving, but without the resistance factor, without feeling it directly, it's just not the same. The climbs are far more realistic and punishing as a result. Now, after I've ridden this for a while, I'll eventually put out a video regarding the Elite Sweeto and my opinions of the trainer, but I really need to break it in. I need to put some more hours into it before I properly do that. But it's very convenient. It folds up nicely. It's easy to store. It's a little heavy. The whole system is almost entirely metallic. It's almost all metal. There's very, very little plastic on it. And so it's very sturdy, but it does make it a good 35 pounds or so. So, it's got a bit of weight to it, but it's not that hard to transport. It stores away nicely, and so that's pretty easy. You just got to make sure to lay it down where cassette up or lay it upright. Now, no equipment set is complete without the proper accessories. So a quick rundown of the accessories that I have. I've grabbed one of my wife's old yoga mats, and that's a perfect drip pan. That's my sweat catcher. Not one, but 2 trusty water bottles. Today's ride, I got all the way through one and just into the second one as I was getting off the bike. And as I don't have a full, proper, dedicated road bike that I'm using with that hybrid, it's your standard run-of-the-mill pedals, and so without clip-in, I'm just using an old pair of indoor T90 Nike indoor soccer shoes, aka football. Yeah, I know. For use with my Zwift companion app, I have just added a mount for my bike to hold my phone. And then Elite, this comes in the box with the trainer, a front wheel stand, which really helps lock you into your position and keep you level. You'd always recommend the proper clothing, which I don't have. You can definitely get you can get saddle sores here just as you can out on the road itself. But to help negate that issue, I have a memory foam seat cushion, and that takes care of it. One of the most important pieces of equipment is my personal fan. Makes a huge difference. Oh my goodness, without it, it is so bad. And finally, one of the most important pieces of equipment that everyone's going to have to really properly understand what's going on with Zwift and know the data is a heart rate monitor. I have a MoveFit heart rate monitor. Now, as my series is data driven, having proper data is important. And I have picked up a smart scale from Arbaleaf. It comes with a free app that uses Bluetooth to connect with the scale, and that is where I get the bulk of my data from, well beyond just my weight, but my BMI, my visceral fat, and so on. So not counting any equipment that I use in the recording, or software that I use for recording, accessories, I'd say I spent maybe $50, $60 for all accessories. I took an old used bike, but then $850 for the trainer. That is by far the major expense. And for those who aren't familiar with Zwift, for one thing, my Elite Sweeto came with a 1-month subscription for Zwift, or other apps if you choose something other than Zwift. Zwift itself comes with a $15 a month subscription service. And while I'm not a big fan of using subscription services like that, especially for fitness things, I like one-time fees and being done with it. While that might be the preferred one, $15 is certainly approachable, and it's not that bad. So all in all, the Smart Trainer is the big expense. But like I said, you can get wheel-on trainers for significantly less than what I spent on this. But the realism factor, and for me, that extra immersion of having that realism makes a massive difference. And so I would definitely recommend going that direction. And there is a wide range of smart trainers. And there's a couple smart trainers out there that you might want to risk that are far more affordable, but aren't going to be terribly accurate for you. You're going to have some complications. They have some poor reviews, even though there are a couple newer ones that are out there, and you never know. In time they might correct some of those issues. The Elite Sweeto is on the lower end of Smart Trainer, and again, the Smart Trainer is the higher end of what you're going to be able to get into on Zwift. So it's a little bit of a trade-off. There are some better options than the one that I picked up, but the price point jumps quite a bit from there. So that's what I have, and like I said in the last episode, I love what Zwift brings to the table for me. As somebody who does not ride well solo, but doesn't have the friends in or family that have that similar mindset and want to go out and ride, not having that as an option, and having never bothered with finding the random individuals and just joining a group in the public, Zwift is great. It really is. And as you can see, I'm doing my first group ride today, and I'm really enjoying it. It's punishing, but it's punishing in the right sort of way.
All right, folks. I almost made it to the end. I tried, but my legs are done. Legs are totally shot, so not back. Gonna call it a day, but first ever ride, nearly twice the length of what I'm used to, and that's it. But all in all, it's a good day. Let's use the light one and see if we can get a little further, but I'm out of energy, so close call. Nearly made it for the day, and yeah, really enjoying myself. I like the group ride thing. I don't know, maybe I can make it on with this group. Try a little bit more, a little longer. Tough day in the saddle. Big ask. But yeah, feel good. This apparently there's more than one group here, and I've managed to stay in the front group until the last 2 minutes. Yeah, you can see the group itself is splintered all over the place. Out of 170 that started the ride, there's 40 or 50 left up there, so outlasted most. Not bad for my first ever group ride, and again, twice the distance on what I've covered previously. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Also hope you looked at the view of the equipment. It's got very much mixed bag. Good and probably shouldn't be riding, and putting that all together, piecing that together has been, interesting. Well, Decathlon Gamer, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like button. See you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Have a good weekend, everybody. And bye for now.